Hi there, friends. Just a quick bit before we get into this pause menu for Summer Games Fest. We did have just a little bit of issue with video recording, and so we're going to just make the best of it. We've done some editing in post. Most of this was seeing trailers, so you'll see all those. Our faces, however, are glitching, and the video did cut out early on the recording end. So now we're doing a part 1 and part 2 for Summer Games Fest. So you'll be able to see the part 1 here if you're watching a YouTube video or listen to it, and then we'll be back for part 2 to cover the games that were cut off in the recording. And as I said, if you're watching the video, you're gonna see all the trailer stuff. You're just gonna miss exactly what we were reacting to in the moment visually. Sorry about that, friends, and we're hoping to improve this for the next time.
Welcome, gamers, to Basement Arcade Pause Menu, the show where we hit pause, sit back, and just chill. I am your host, Ben Magnet, and it is one of the most wonderful times of the year. It is summer. That means Summer Game Fest. That means trailers. That means a whole bunch of trailers. And I am here with my bros from the Fake Nerd Podcast, Sparkz Witty and Ryan Eliopoulos. Gentlemen, happy Summer Game Fest, guys!
Happy Summer Game Fest, friends. You know, E3 might be dead, but it might as well still be around, just in a different capacity, and I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, I would say E3 has risen from the ashes, or Summer Game Fest has risen from the ashes of E3, because all of these announcements, everyone's able to see them, everyone's able to watch them. We got some amazing trailers to talk about. We got some great games to look forward to. I'm ready to dive in. I feel like a kid again, back in the heyday of E3, to be honest.
Oh yeah, there is, if you're watching the video component, I have a little thing below of all the different press conferences, and this was like a third of them. There's like smaller indie ones that focus on, diverse creators and other countries and stuff. So there were 500 games at the end of the day that we could be talking about, and we just don't have the time for that. So we all stemmed. We have over 40, which is still a lot of games to talk about. We can't talk about all of them, but I think we got a good list of games.
Agreed.
You guys ready to dive into some video games?
I just want to piggyback off Ben's analogy real quick,
please.
Which is where I think what really happened is that the analogy would be that Jeff Keighley came along and tore the heart out of E3 and stuck it into a more beautiful and better blade, and then forged a better kingdom out of it.
I like that. He upgraded his weapon, you could say. Well, guys, we're gonna start today.
This Prince of Persia, this new version is harkening back to the original Prince of Persia game, because obviously when we were growing up, when we were kids, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, that whole PS2 trilogy was amazing. Unfortunately, it was one of those games where it's like, oh, I need to play this, but I never got a hold of it. But I knew of Prince of Persia on the NES, on the Super Nintendo. That was like the classic 2D explore around 2D platformer. So seeing Ubisoft go back to Prince of Persia roots instead of the big bombastic 3D action game, I'm all for, to be perfectly honest. I'm really digging this, and I love the art style. I don't want to say it's more cartoony, but I do love the art style that Ubisoft is going with this, and it's very this still harkens back to those original Prince of Persia games. And you can see the difficulty is going to be there, because like with a lot of those old NES games, they were called Nintendo Hard for a reason.
Yeah, I think this looks great because while it is going back to the original 2D Prince of Persia, it is not a traditional Prince of Persia game. It is a Metroidvania, which the other games are not. This is a semi-open world where you'll be getting new abilities. If you played Arkham Asylum or Metroid Castlevania, all those types of games. This is really cool. This is right up all of our alleys. A new art style is great. I'm really excited for it. And again, Ubisoft, this was a pretty decent Ubisoft conference, and not a lot of people are down on it. I thought there was some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I really like the new design for Prince of Persia. I think it looks exceptional. I think this is probably the shot in the arm that the franchise actually needs.
Yeah.
Just something totally new.
Yeah.
Totally. I really am drawn to this style.
Yeah.
I think it looks really, really cool. There are other games that were around. I'm not going to name anything specific, but there were other games that were around this Summer Game Fest that had cinematics that were going for this style, and then you get to the gameplay and it doesn't look like that.
Yes.
The fact that the game looks like this is so good.
Absolutely, yeah. And doing something like similar but different is always fun, and I'm pretty excited. I hope this isn't one of those. and this isn't to disparage like smaller games, but like this does not look like a $70 game. And there are a lot of instances nowadays where like they will just charge you like Gollum is a $70 game, and like, you know, not to talk about Gollum, but like this looks like a nice $20, $30, $40 game, and I hope it could be that, because not every game needs to be $70.
I'd say it's a solid 40 for the art alone. Like the imagery is so strong and vivid. I can see this being a $40 game when you compare it to things like Shredder's Revenge when that first came out. This would definitely go, I think, at 40.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm down.
I'd buy this for 40.
Yeah. I'm down for more Prince of Persia. Speaking of another surprise, I don't even know if this thing is out yet for us to see. No. So Saiyan Land, from Akira Toriyama, creator of Dragon Ball and Dragon's Quest.
We've talked on the podcast about the anime coming for a bit.
Yeah, there's an anime coming out, but us in America have not seen it. I don't even know if it's out yet, but
I don't think it is.
There's a game coming out, and it got announced this summer, and I think it looks, from what we've seen, it looks pretty cool. I didn't know how Mad Max it was until I think I saw this trailer for the game,
right?
Where it's like, it's all vehicle based. Like, it's actually like you're in the desert and vehicles and stuff, and I'm like, I can't go wrong with that art style.
Yeah, who knows necessarily how the gameplay is going to turn out, but this does feel more like a better use of the style that they're using for the anime. Like, I've rubbed up against some of it in the anime trailers that we've seen where it's not totally working for me, but obviously here in a video game it translates really, really well. It looks really striking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm definitely I love big open world games, and like to be able to do it in like a Dragon Ball-esque style that's not Dragon Ball seems really fun. Yeah, this looks pretty cool.
Yeah, you like everything mechanically is very classic Toriyama, like Red Ribbon Army era designs, and the creatures are too. And so you're like, yeah, I think game wise, I think this could be really cool depending on how the game plays.
Absolutely. We'll find out if this comes out before or after the anime. That'll be fun to see. All right, you're the Sonic boys, y'all. What's up? It's Sonic time.
That it is.
I'm not gonna lie, I got a little hyped when I saw this trailer for Sonic Superstars, the new multiplayer Sonic game.
I'm still very hyped, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah,
I am. It's returned to 2D Sonic. It's the art style I absolutely love. It's harkening back to the 2D things of Sonic Generations. Excuse me. All new zones, no Green Hill Zone, which part of me is like kind of like, yay, we can get out of Green Hill Zone.
Is Green Hill Zone the Tatooine of Sonic Universe?
100%.
That's the weirdest sentence I've ever said in my life.
Very, very accurate though. Can't stop finding a reason to go back there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, it's like all the classic styles. It's none of the modern styles. It's like you get classic Amy, classic Knuckles. I'm hyped for this game. I cannot wait to play this game. I want to play this game so bad.
This part I'm really into.
This is really cool. With the jellyfish transformation and that stuff. Sorry, Ben, just go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to gush about how excited I am because 2D Sonic is essentially back. I am playing Sonic Frontiers. I mean, I haven't really played a lot of Sonic Frontiers. I've played quite a bit. I still enjoy the game. I think the game is actually pretty damn good. But I know that with the success of Sonic Mania back in 2016, 2017, whenever the Sonic Mania came out, Sonic's true success comes when you put him in a 2D game. Everyone wants to go. I mean, don't get me wrong, the 3D games are good, but putting Sonic in a 2D space again, making those games available, making new games like this one, fans are going to come back. The older fans who hate 3D Sonic are going to come back, and I would say hopefully this is a home run for Sega. I know this is made by Sonic Team. It's not made by Christian Whitehead, but just by the look of it alone, they're going to capture the essence of what people love about 2D Sonic, and I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot to admire about introducing a lot of new gameplay mechanics to Sonic. They're trying to, like, there's, some of the ways that we're seeing him traverse around the map in the gameplay are just, there's new ideas of how to do it. Ones in particular, I like this dodging the rockets that chase you kind of thing, and having to get the timing on them. The jellyfish thing we mentioned, the pulling on branches to swing yourself up and knowing where they are to do so. But I do think, like, the challenge is, will it feel clunkier than Sonic Mania? Because that's really going to be the thing, is like, if it doesn't feel as good as Sonic Mania, people are going to be bummed about it, regardless of like how like vividly cool it is. And it is cool. Like, visually, I really, really like the style of this a lot.
I'll tell you, the thing that draws me the most is the multiplayer.
Yeah.
Because, like, no matter how good or bad a game is, every game is more fun with your friends, no matter what it is.
Which is all the more reason I'm so stunned that it's only local play.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh, mistake, Sonic Team.
Hate to tell you guys, but I did look into
In
that.
the year of our Lord,
it is local online
2023
multiplayer.
That's
Local multiplayer.
We are in the we're having this problem where like it's the opposite problem. We're having the opposite problem in games, but like now it's like it's only local. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna double check,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty confident that that's.
Well, you know
what
what?
I read,
That's still cool. I mean, you know, like we all live close enough that can happen. But that is a little bit of a bummer. But I think this game looks good enough now. The game, now that, you know, people are playing it, you know, on the show floors and stuff, like they're saying it's okay, it's fine. The gameplay, it's like it's not the best, but like again, playing with friends might be just what I need to keep going.
Yeah. It's tough when it's like, I know we're about to have a basement arcade later this year where we're all going to do Shredder's Revenge with Grayson online.
Yeah!
And like to not be able to do the same thing with Sonic Superstars is a little like, ooh.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, moving on from the Green Hill zones to the
So it's only local 4-player co-op and an online battle mode, but not going through the levels online.
Boo.
Well, you know what? We can all gather together for that one, I guess. Speaking of battle modes, why don't we battle with our creator, Geppetto, in the new Soulsborne-like game, Lies of P. Now, as of this recording, there is a demo for Lies of P, which I have played. I want to get your guys' thoughts on what you've seen from this before I go into it, because I actually have hands-on experience as of this point.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that it looks like Bloodborne 2, even though it's not Bloodborne 2. But I also love the aesthetics. I love how you have different weapons, like you have the umbrella, you have swords, you have a variety of melee weapons. The entirety of the world looks creepy, and I just hate haunted circuses. I hate that bit, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it looks good, but I'm really hoping it plays well, because obviously, with a lot of games in the past, that we see trailers like this, it's like, man, this looks so good, this looks really inventive, but then when people actually have hands-on experience and they play the game, it doesn't translate very well.
There was a monster on screen just a second ago, and I was going to say that's kind of what I mentally picture Ben's Mary character as in D and Dark.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
No, he was like a monstrosity thing a second ago. Anyway, I'm excited to play Timothée Chalamet versus Victorian era steampunk.
That's 100% what I thought when I saw it.
Ben brought it up, but that umbrella bit that's in this trailer I thought was really cool. This is definitely the most I've been excited about this game. I was curious when we saw the previous trailer stuff, but this is the one that I'm like, okay, I think I get what they're going for, and this seems like this could be really cool.
Yeah.
Especially just the inventiveness of the world that we're going through.
Yeah, so there's a whale. So the thing, it's called Lies of P, right? And it's got like a Pinocchio vibe to it. And you know, like you see Geppetto, but like when you start the game, this is like they're just doing the story of Pinocchio entirely. Like you meet Gemini Cricket, but he's not a cricket. He's a train that you ride on. He's your companion. Yeah, and like all these things are reimagined, and like Geppetto, like again, like I don't know the context fully, but like Geppetto created this vast mechanical army to help people, and something happened, they all went mad, and now there's like it's like a crazy droid army basically, but they're automaton looking like marionettes, and for some reason you Lies of P, which this Alan Wake, you are not Lies of P, sir. It just looks really cool, and Geppetto, he has like an eerie presence, and like I don't know how far it is until you meet Geppetto, but like he is like maybe the ultimate antagonist, maybe like there's more sadness to him than you know, but like the combat is why you come into this game, y'all. It's Bloodborne. This is just Bloodborne. You get hit, you attack enemies to get your health back, you gotta dodge, you got a weapon transformation system.
So you're saying that because you've done the demo. I just want to ask, like, is it feels like Bloodborne in the way that like Jedi Survivor feels kind of like they're trying to do Bloodborne, or does it like it feel like as good as Bloodborne?
It feels better than Jedi Survivor.
No, sure. I'm sure of that, but like does it feel as good as Bloodborne, or does it feel like clunkier?
Well, I mean, nothing can be as good as a From Software
game.
But like
sure.
it is better than other
most
copies.
imitators.
Yeah, this is a like if these guys were told like, hey, this developer is going to make the next Dark Souls game, I'd be confident in their skills because like the game feels. Oh yeah, sure, that guy. Yeah. This game feels really good, and the dodging feels good, and like Ben, you've played a lot of Souls games. You just know like when it feels good. Like the first enemy you fight this game, you immediately know this is good combat. You can just feel it. Okay. Every game you play, you can just feel when you know the combat is good or not.
Well, that has me really excited.
Yeah, and like the parrying's great, and like you're gaining so much stuff. Like you have a metal arm. It's called the Left Hand of Steel, and it's basically like a combo breaker or like a guard breaker, and you can upgrade it, and you can do different customizations with your armor and your weapons. It just looks like a great Souls-like game. But in the Bloodborne style of like dark Victorian monster shit, which again like they're not giving us Bloodborne 2, so like someone's got to do it, and luckily this game feels good. It feels so good. Like I'm so excited for it.
I'm glad they had the confidence to put a demo out so that you can say that, because that gives me a lot of reason to think, okay, this is something I'm going to want to do.
Absolutely, yeah. Generally, when like this and Final Fantasy 16 both got like really big, this isn't like a 5-minute demo. This is like a full like couple-hour demo. Right. Like they feel confident in this game. Like, oh no, yeah, they want you to know how good this game is. So awesome. In 3 months you'll buy it.
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
Speaking of things that I know I'm gonna buy. Hey guys, welcome back to the world of, I think it's called Bright Falls. I think that's this town that Alan Wake is currently trapped in. Bright Falls, Alan Wake 2, y'all. We saw Alan Wake premiere at the PlayStation Showcase some time ago, but like we got a full extended gameplay trailer demo here. And Alan Wake is a survival horror game where you use flashlights to destroy dark shields on enemies, to shoot them. They're like zombie ghouls. But the lighting in this game looks phenomenal. The character work looks great. The leaning more into the horror, into a already horror-esque franchise is excellent. It just looks like top to bottom a great spooky game that I can't wait for Ben to play the demo of later this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've never played the original Alan Wake. I have no prior knowledge or connection to Alan Wake other than it's just a game franchise or a game that I know of. Mm-hmm. This looks pretty scary, to be honest. Like, especially with the whole flashlight and the few enemies we're not seeing them pop up yet, but later on in the trailer, they're bullet sponges. Mm-hmm. And whenever I see a bunch of enemies that are sponges, I'm like, oh, this is gonna not be a good time.
So yeah, the thing about that differs again, like. All of Remedy, the guys who make this game Remedy, they've all their games have horror stuff in them, but this is the first time they're saying they're making a survival horror game. And again, that puts me in so much dread because all their games are scarier than most horror games. So like this one, they're focusing on survival horror where it's like you have to manage your resources. You're not being overwhelmed with like a dozen enemies like the last game. Like every enemy can kill you, and you have to be smart about how you kill them, and you have to make sure you use your shielding and your weapons and dodge around them. So like you can die at all times, and that's really scary. The thing that I'm most excited about this game, and I don't know how the hell they're doing it in terms of playing the game, you can play this entire game as just one character, they said. And there are 2 storylines happening in this game. And you play as the FBI agent, and then you play as Alan Wake, who's doing his own crazy shit. He's like in his own world, going to different things. So I'm like, how... Is this like a multiple playthrough game where they want you to play through it multiple times? Because I'm all about that shit. That's like Nier Automata. It just look how Twin Peaks of shit looks. Yeah. I'm just so excited for it. You got any thoughts on this? Oh, real quick, Sparkz. This is I think they said this is all happening in your head. You're like in your own like detective, your mind palace, and you are literally solving the work and putting up the threads on the corkboard yourself. Right,
like because this is something that they wanted you to be able to visit at any time. So like you go inside your mind and you're like Will from Hannibal, just like laying everything out, trying to collect it all.
Yeah. This looks really, really like part detective, part horror game. These visuals are so scary. Like if you were watch this trailer, it's so spooky, y'all. Remedy's got this shit down. Any final thoughts on? Holy crap! I'm gonna crap my pants, Alan Wake.
I'm excited to check out the original and then check out this one.
I want to say I don't know if you picked it up, but it was free on PlayStation Plus. So everyone should have a copy if you got PlayStation Plus. That's fantastic.
I don't think I picked it up.
That's okay, Ben. I forgive you.
Bum.
Next up, y'all, we got Banishers: Ghost of New Eden. This is a new IP. This is about ghost hunters in the ye old times. How do you feel about ghost hunting in the 1800s with spooky stuff?
Honestly, when I first saw the protagonist, I thought this was a sequel to Order 1886.
Sure. 100%. I get that. Yeah.
Like the mustache and the beard was like, oh, he grew the full beard out. He doesn't have like the whole like continuous mustache thing. I actually kind of dig this trailer, especially if you're playing between two different characters and they're connected, whereas you have the main guy in the mortal realm and then you have, I'm assuming, his partner in the spirit realm.
I think so.
And I kind of dig that, how you're constantly jumping back and forth between two different worlds, fighting two different types of enemies.
Yeah.
I think this could be like a big hit.
Yeah.
You said it really well there, Ben. Like, what's really appealing is this idea of engaging between both the real world and the ethereal world at the same time via these two characters. The way we're watching the switches happen and everything. If that lands in gameplay, this could be really, really special.
Yeah. The thing that I'm really curious about this game is so it's made by Don't Nod, and they're the people who made Life is Strange, which are like the Telltale drama series. So they've slowly been working their way to making more bigger epic like action games instead of just traditional narrative games. They made a vampire game called Vampire, which got a lot of like 6s and 7s. Like I heard it was good, but like wasn't super great. So like they're pushing the envelope more and more, and I'm like, I think this one could be the big one that, not this game, dang it. Banishers Ghost of Eden could be the big one that pushed them over the envelope. Like, hey, we are a big AAA developer that can make these big epic games.
And I think that's also encouraging because they come from the Life is Strange thing. That means there's going to be a lot of focus on like
story,
these characters being well developed between at least our two main that we're swapping with, their relationship with each other. That's going to be a fully fleshed out thing.
Absolutely.
And the designs here are really, really cool.
Yeah, so at least the story will be great. And I think the gameplay looks pretty cool.
There's this one bit in the trailer where like you switch to her in the spiritual world and all of a sudden you see like these ethereal chains everywhere, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so good. I really love that. It's right here. Yeah, just these ethereal chains, that the way they get highlighted and everything. I'm like, oh man. Yeah, I'm jazzed about it. I want to bust some ghosts.
Dude, I ain't afraid of them. Never will be.
Sorry.
We'll get copyrighted. All right, guys, we're gonna go from New Eden to Texas.
This one's short. You might want to.
This one is short. I'm looping it. Thank you, Sparkz. We're gonna go to El Paso elsewhere. This is just a indie Max Payne clone. I just love the art style. The trailer's got some bad vibes to it. I love it. It looks like demon 90s Max Payne, and I'm just happy about it.
Honestly, I didn't like this one.
That's fair.
No, I didn't like this one. The combat reminds me of this game I remember, Drake of the 99 Dragons. Do you remember that one?
I do, actually. It's awful. It's an awful game.
It gives me a lot of Drake 99 Dragons. I get it that it's going for a horror aesthetic, but I just don't like the art style.
That's fair.
That's so funny because you know what it reminded me of? The very first like the Matrix game.
Yeah, Enter the Matrix.
Yeah. That way that you're kind of like moving around. It's like you're getting a lot of bullet time.
Yes, and both of those games cribbed from Max Payne.
Yeah.
The game you're talking about, Ben, and Enter the Matrix. So like this is like you played a worse version of Max Payne, Ben. You should have just played Max Payne instead of Drake and the 99 Dragons. I remember that. That's like one of the worst Xbox games of all time.
It seems like it has potential.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, this is just like a small baby. Oh yeah.
I hope so, but I didn't vibe with this one.
Oh
to be
yeah.
Perfectly honest.
Hey man, not every game can vibe with everybody, or else every game would sell 10 million copies.
If it feels good to play, then I think it's going to be really cool.
Yeah. All right, y'all. This is probably not going to be like the game of the show, but it might just be for me because I didn't know this game is multiplayer.
Yes.
Warhammer 40,000, 40K Space Marine 2. I was already Jones for this. The first one came out over a decade ago, and it is a Gears of War clone, but like the best Gears of War clone. Except you don't take cover because Space Marines don't take cover. They just take the bullets because they can do it because they're super engineered hardasses. This game looks incredible. The first game, it wasn't dealing with the Tyranids, which are basically like if the aliens and like the xenomorphs and predators had a baby, like the Tyranids are the worst version of both of those.
The Predalien.
The Predalien, actually, yeah, perfectly. So you're dealing with basically like Left 4 Dead horde mode, while also just the great combat from the first game, where it's like you're just going to be swamped with bad guys, and because you are a 10-foot tall god, you can take it. And it's just so fun, and it's such a power fantasy. And again, you never retreat, never surrender. There's space combat now. There's flying in space. I lost my mind. The coolest thing is playing with two friends for up to 3 people. That is going to make this game an instant like top 5. If this game is good, top 5 for me because like I'm so jonesing for this.
So now the analogy, I think we did say this the last time we saw the first trailer for it, that like there were some vibes of Aliens Fireteam Elite to it. Now that is like fully come to the truth of like, yes, it's going to be like that, but I think far grander in like the power scaling of what you're talking about.
What's great is this is a single player game. It's like or with campaign, so a co-op campaign. So it's going to be like an 8 to 10 hour like story driven thing, but also because every game has this will have probably a horde mode, a multiplayer mode, stuff for us to do. And I'm just like, I'm so Jones for it. I love the Warhammer universe. I don't think there's a bigger franchise that pumps out shit than Warhammer. Like for real, like they give their license out to anybody who's got a nickel. So anytime we get a good one of these, I have to sing its praises because like, no guys, look, dive through the trash and here it is. Here's the good stuff. This one looks sensational.
Yeah, I'm very excited because this leaves a lot of potential for us to play it together and do it on Basement Arcade. I think this is going to be a ton of fun.
I want to say I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Jason Isaacs who's the main character. He was from the first game. He might be still doing the same character.
Is that true?
I'm pretty sure it's Jason Isaacs or some great British actor.
Because like the only thing I remember hearing about Jason Isaacs, but it was in relation to Baldur's Gate.
No, you know what?
For Summer Game Fest.
You know what? We're going to talk about. I want you guys to talk about this next game real quick because there is gameplay. There's very little gameplay, but
very small.
But we're going to
very small, man.
We're going to talk about Fable. Real quick. Fable is a ye old Xbox franchise. The thing that most excites me about this trailer is that the developer on Twitter said, "I don't think there's a bigger compliment than thinking people this isn't what the game looks like." Because like this, like we are at a point where like we are in the next generation, y'all, and like that next generation is not next anymore; it's the now generation. And like some of these games are starting to finally come out. The ones that look like real shit, like Final Fantasy 16 and stuff like that. Like these games are getting real now. And this is all in game. These are the cutscenes happening in the game. I want to hear you guys talk about it because I gotta know who's in Warhammer.
I mean, it's obviously a very cute and charming trailer with our friend Moss from IT Crowd playing in as
Richard
a giant, which is a really great little twist reveal for the trailer.
He's a giant.
But as you said, like if this is truly the level of gameplay, a lot of the visuals that we're seeing, especially the ones that are very clearly gameplay. We had a little bit ago where she was in the forest, and then there's going to be a bit at the end with the giant. That's pretty darn impressive. And gives me a lot of reason to be invested in this.
So sorry, it was Mark Strong who's in the original Warhammer game, which you will play, but unfortunately, it looks like he's being replaced, which is fine. That's okay. Anyway, moving on to this game. Yeah, Fable. I've played all the Fables. I love the Fable franchise. Again, the last one came out 15 years ago, like on the 360. This is gameplay. All this stuff's gameplay right here. It looks incredible. It looks insane. Remember that one section in God of War Ragnarok where you fight like the big giant lady? That's what this entire game's going to be. This is an entire game about Jack and the Giant Beanstalk and all that nonsense. I'm just so excited. I love the cartoony style. I love the humor, like the British humor. There's a lot of fart jokes in this game, and there's not enough fart jokes in video games, I think. So I'm pretty stoked for Fable. The only thing is, word on the street is this game is still not even close to being done, and we're looking at a late 2025.
That doesn't surprise me.
This game's been in development for like 8 years. This is also what's really cool about this Fable game. It's made by the guys who made Forza Horizon. So a car company who's made car games for a long time is making their first like big ass game, and it reminds me of the Titanfall developers making Jedi Survivor. They've never made a third-person action game, and then they made that, and that game's really, really good. So that gives me faith that, like, just because you don't make this type of game doesn't mean you can't do it. And the game looks so good is because they're using the Forza Horizon engine, and those cars look real.
That's
and
true.
if you just translate that into stuff like this, like the nature stuff, there's no reason, like, to believe this game doesn't look this good. Like, I'm when I'm 48 and I play this game, I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Now, Fable was always one of those games that drew me, that wanted me to get an Xbox and to play an Xbox, because I always loved, like, when Fable was first announced, it's like, hey, your decisions, and you could be like the branching, like, hey, you could be a good guy, you could be a bad guy, you could do all this sort of thing. That really interested me a lot when I was younger.
Yep.
Unfortunately, never owned an Xbox, never got to play it. So I hope this game is really good. I know the Fable games, I mean, they've been praised, but also they've been like, I mean, they're like they're good, but they're not as good as we were hoping they were going to be. But if this is in-game footage, then this game looks absolutely stunning. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna get this anytime soon. Definitely polish it up, and just yeah, it looks. I mean, if this is in-game footage, I know when the trailer started, it does say on the bottom in-game footage. It looks stunning. It looks absolutely gorgeous. So, and I do love this little the reveal that Dave is actually a giant the whole time. I thought that was great.
Yeah, the transition in the gameplay is just like it's so impressive. It's so impressive. Smooth. And the thing about like the Fable games those are like open world like big adventure games. So like if like I'm so curious what this game will be. If it'll be a little more straight and narrow as opposed to giant and open. Thinking about the Fable, watching this trailer. Going back to the original Fable on the Xbox, this came out around the same time as Knights of the Old Republic on the original Xbox. This Fable and KOTOR were the games that turned me into the RPG whore that I am today. Because both of those games allow you to customize your characters, choose to be good or bad, make relationships with people, like basically live like the character you want to be. And that was happening to me when I was like a youth, like even a preteen. So like the Fable and KOTOR were foundational for my video game love. Right. So I hope I can come back to Fable and it's as good as those other games. So moving on to a game, we don't have many of these, but this is a CG only trailer.
But this looks awesome.
But this looks awesome, and it's by Compulsion, which is a new studio. So like this is their first big game out of the gate. From a bunch of different people from a bunch of different studios came together to make Compulsion, and this is what they're putting out. And like to call it like like Spider-Verse animation is reductive, of course, but like it's the only thing I can think of. This incredible like stop motion-y, claymation-y art style. Like in Louisiana, I was really moved by it.
To say I'm obsessed with this one would not be an understatement. This looks so cool. I think my favorite thing about it is just like I liked it to begin with, but the moment that she flies in and approaches, and you realize how big he is, and like what she's asking him, and the way he behaves, and all this, it's like we're getting such cool interpretation of like magic and with this southern flair and black focused flair, which again, like that's not something you get enough of, especially in like big games, is a lot of like this kind of exposure. I think this looks really cool.
Yeah, like reductively I was like buy you Fable.
Yeah.
Just because of giants, just because I like giant stuff, but like again, like just as a proof of concept, I think like all right, you've sold me, now I just got to see like what you're working with.
Yeah. You know what? You know what it reminds me actually almost of is it's like Wendell and Wild getting into full motion with a game.
Yeah,
kind of
like
thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Wendell Wild's a better. Yeah. Love the art style.
Yeah, just this whole trailer is a vibe, and we don't get gameplay. This is just an announcement trailer, but you definitely get that vibe of those old Southern fables and those old Southern folktales, where it's like someone's trying to do something, but then they have to outwit the other person, or they outwit the villain, or the guitarist here, and it just has a. I mean, I love the animation style, I love the vibe, and of course, hearing an old blues guitar in the Deep South is just like, oh, that's nice. That's good to hear.
And while we don't know exactly what we get with the indication of what her like engagement in gameplay is going to be, that like spindle that she pulls out with this like this glowing movement, however that's going to play in, I'm very curious to see like whatever kind of weapon that turns into.
I think she had like a parasol.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
This is also, I think, one of those games that we won't see for a while, but it's nice to see some cool diversity come in the games.
Yeah.
This was, I'll be honest, y'all, I wasn't super like, I think this game looks cool. It's the gimmick that really sold me.
That I agree.
So this game is called 33 Immortals, and I thought I pulled up just the regular trailer, but this is the extended trailer, which is fine. This is a top-down Diablo-like game where you can play with up to 33 people.
Right.
And it just looks. I really like the art style. And again, if this were just like, hey, play this with 2 friends, I'd be like, nah, that seems cool. I'll check it out later. Playing with 30 people, I don't even know how that's going to look. Well, I mean, I've seen how it works. It looks fine. But I'm like, how does that even work? And it's just like, it's magical. It's just big and bodacious. I'll try to find some gameplay. Yeah, it's just like a massive multiplayer game in just one little thing. I thought it looked cool.
Yeah, it's definitely like an interesting gimmick idea to do this. 33 people all.
It's like Hades. It feels like Hades. The game.
Yeah. Yes, it does. That's a cool take. I'm curious if like. I didn't watch all of their breakdowns on these kinds of things. Did they talk about like if there will be NPCs to fill in slots?
No,
when servers aren't full enough.
No, it is. I believe it is like it'll just accommodate the more people you add onto it. So it won't you won't be negated if you don't have 30 people or just 2 people. Like you can play this game with 1 or 30 people, is from what I can tell.
Okay.
And it'll just stack it up as it needs to.
I see.
Yeah, I didn't watch this trailer. I watched the actual like trailer.
Yeah.
I known that you could play with 33 people, I thought that sounds pretty cool. But once again, this is another game trailer that I didn't really vibe with because I saw this. I'm like, oh look, another roguelike.
Yeah,
seen those before.
The bit is get like 12 of your friends together and do it.
Yeah, that is cool. That is rad game.
I think the bosses look pretty sick.
Sure.
Yeah, but honestly, just it kind of looked a little bland.
Sure.
To me.
Yeah.
If I'm being 100% perfectly honest, I'm pretty sure it's not, but this is just another one of those things. No. It's like, I mean, I know that's going to have its fans, but for me, I just wasn't really vibing with.
Absolutely.
I think that's fair. Like, I think the art style doesn't necessarily grab me either. Like, visually, if I want to look at something like that, that's not Hades, but is kind of like taking from Hades, I'd rather be looking at Livjana, the other Hades like one that was announced that we saw stuff from at Summer Game Fest. It's not in our trailer batch, but that one looks really cool. Mm-hmm, it's basically doing Hades with East Indian mythology, at least inspiration from there. And when I look at the art style here, it doesn't grab me as much. Like, basically, I wouldn't play it without the gimmick of playing with many of my friends.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I wanted to bring it up because I just think
no, it's a cool gimmick.
The idea I haven't really seen before of this capacity. I just thought it looked kind of cool. Yeah. Moving on to something I don't think you guys have any experience in is Persona. Persona fans?
Very small amount.
Never played Persona. Persona 5 is everywhere in pop culture now.
It's true, every word. Well, that's okay because I'm not gonna call it a cult classic because it also sold millions of copies, but like a fan favorite, Persona 3. This got leaked a while ago, but people are still excited. Persona 3 Reloaded. It is taking that Persona 3 game and giving it the Persona 5 art style and like facelift with its UI and menus and stuff, and like the transitions of the menus into from gameplay. When you press a button, it like splashes a wave into the menu. It's beautiful. I love the Persona series despite only playing 2 of them because each of those games is like 200 hours. Right. It is a part high school like dating sim, part Pokemon game. Like you see these monsters, they're your stands like from JoJo, and you collect them and you fuse them to create new ones. It is like the biggest JRPG franchise in terms of the amount of stuff you can do.
That's true.
And I never played 3. So like I'm really, really excited to play 3 because I love 4. And I never played 5. I played, what was it? Oh, Shin Megami Tensei is also a spin-off. That's a whole other franchise. It's not we're talking about that.
Did Persona spin off from Shin Megami
Yes,
Tensei?
Other way around, yeah. And in those games, you shoot yourself in the head to activate your monster. And people don't like that because that's very loaded. Like a gun. Anyway, I'm excited for Persona 3. Not that I don't need another 150-hour RPG in my life.
It's
cool.
I'm just excited that... Oh, go ahead, Ben.
No, I'm just gonna say I'm excited that people are can play Persona because those older Persona games are actually very expensive on the aftermarket. So the fact that we're getting the Persona 5 art style completely remade from the ground up, and people can experience these. I just love it when I see classic games or games that are beloved that are hard to come by nowadays find new life on a newer console, and you get some quality of life improvements here and there, which obviously this looks like we're going to get.
Absolutely.
So for those hardcore fans of Persona who've never played Persona 3, but they finally can because they couldn't buy the original copy for the PlayStation 3 because it's just so damn expensive, here you go.
Absolutely. You know what? Now that I think about it, it actually might be this one where they shoot themselves in the head because that's why it's called Reload. But I could be wrong. We'll find out when I play it later this year on Game Pass. All right, y'all. Time to enter Final Fantasy Corner.
Yeah.
The first of our Final Fantasy Corner. The first corner is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is the sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake. Ben,
yeah,
the next generation of video games is here, and we have things. It's all because of Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy 16. It looks.
Oh my god!
How does it look better than FF7 did? I didn't think it could be possible. If I'm being honest.
Wait, say that again.
How does this look better than FF7 did? In terms of like
FF7
remake.
than the remake?
Yeah, the fidelity. Like this shit looks
I don't know.
This just looks incredible.
PS5 magic, maybe. I don't know. Just not okay. When I first plugged in Final Fantasy VII Remake on my PS4, when I got that sucker, I was like the opening cinematic. I was blown away already. I'm watching this trailer. I was like, this looks too good.
Yeah,
this looks 100% realized, and I'm just looking at this because it made me remember of the trailer when they first announced Final Fantasy VII. I mean, the original in 1999 or 1997.
Sure. When
they said this could not be done in a motion picture, they were right. It could only be done in a video game. And they were already touting FF7 as this grand cinematic style game, which, to be honest, they were right. The story is beloved. That's why a lot of people love this game in particular. Seeing this as a game, I'm like, it reminds me of that trailer because, like, yeah, I mean, you probably could do this in an anime motion picture. The technologies, we have it now.
Yeah.
But this just looks so much better as a video game than it does as a film.
It's so, like, man,
and
like the characters look so crisp. Like there's not a pixel like that. Those are just people. Like they might as well just be people that looks like anime people, obviously. But like the fidelity, man, it's like this. And again, Final Fantasy 16. Like these games look incredible, dude. Like holy,
they do.
And like the particle effects in 60 frames per second. Again, like not that matters all the time, but when you do have 60 frames per second in a big game like this, it looks incredible. It looks phenomenal.
The characters, the way they translated the characters from their PS1 counterparts looks so amazing.
Oh, the back to back and
and also one of the things that made me super happy earlier when I wanted to mention it is that obviously you get to play as Red 13, but you don't always have to have Cloud in your party because it was Barret and Red 13 fighting a monster. So you also you were able to take control of other party members in the in FF7 Remake, but now it's like you don't always have to have Cloud in your party when he's not there. And it's just like, you get to have you could experiment with so many different type of play styles with so many different characters. I mean, of course you gotta have your favorite. I mean, Cloud's my favorite because he has a big sword. I like hack and slashing with a big giant sword.
Agreed.
But and also seeing what they're doing with obviously they're advancing the main story of FF7, but they're changing things up a little bit. You see Sephiroth turn into a Genova monster. You see Cloud doing his reunion bit.
You see Organization 13 in the storm.
Just the scene alone and what Sephiroth says. It's like, wait, because they're changing things up from the original to make it its own. It's like, I am so ready to play this game.
I'm so ready to play Remake so I can play this game.
And not only that, it's on 2 discs.
Bro, like,
2 discs.
So
this game is fucking huge.
So here's the thing. Like, this made people pop so hard because, like, never in a million years did people think, like, returning to the 90s of, like, Final Fantasy VII with 3 discs would be popular again. So Blu-ray discs can hold 100 gigabytes, right? Yeah. That's huge, right? The fact that this is on 2 discs means whoever is downloading this game digitally, they're ruined. They are ruined. This game is going to be like 250 gigs for a regular for people. Like 2 discs that is so crazy.
Got to get those SSDs for you.
Got to get those SSDs. This is also a problem of compression. Again, like Zelda is only like 16 gigs and Jedi Survivor is 150. Like compression is a thing that like doesn't exist anymore, and it can happen. It just takes time, which developers don't want to give these companies. Right? So like 2 discs means like either there's no compression or this game really is that big. It really is that big.
And also, what I have a feeling with, because I had this theory, because obviously with Final Fantasy VII Remake, with FF7R, they expand the story a lot. I mean, people were complaining about, how come it's only 10% of the original game? We don't even get to do this. I mean, okay, multiple installments, but at least make every installment the original disc, blah, blah, blah. That game was great. It had a great fleshed out story. It brought more character development to characters who were write-offs, and it was amazing. This, I feel we're getting the same, because obviously they're only showing bits from like Cosmo Canyon. I think we get bits of Yuffie. Maybe we'll go to Rocket Town. I'm not 100% sure, but I have a feeling that this is going to expand like much further into this is where Final Fantasy VII, the remakes, are going to branch from the original. and there's still obviously they're only showing us a little bit. There's still so much more that we can see.
Yeah,
I'm so ready to see what we have in store with FF7 Rebirth. I mean, a 7 remake was a feat. It was amazing of what they did to it. It was what Final Fantasy 7 fans needed in terms of a remake. It's like we're remaking this, we're retelling the story. It's a little bit of old with a little bit of new, and that worked. And I have a feeling this is gonna work. Or they're gonna work it out again, and we're gonna have absolute magic.
It's Pitbull. I love Agent Pitbull. Like he came back. I love those Turks. I love the Turks, like those special agent dudes. I love one-on-one fights in Final Fantasy. They're always so fun. I think like Ben to talk about how like this remake will be like the diverging point. This will be Evangelion 2.0. Where like oh, you think things are gonna stay the same? No, they're actually gonna be different, because like all that crazy shit with like the flashbacks and like the zombie hood things, like what is all that about? Like they gotta explain that shit, right?
I also wouldn't be surprised if they're gonna bring in elements from the recent new Crisis Core.
Oh yeah,
that's gonna blend over into it.
So funny.
The other thing I was gonna say, because you were talking just about the gameplay mechanics, is the other thing that this gets me excited about, not just to actually dive into
Tyler
this
Hoechlin
and do the Final Fantasy 7 stuff, but also what Kingdom Hearts 4 can be now. Knowing, Nomura's doing this kind of stuff over here, Nomura's gonna be doing, Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be changed up as well.
Point. I actually completely forgot all about that was even announced.
Right, yeah. But
there's a trailer for that game.
It's a ways away, obviously. No, but seeing this kind of stuff here, like the back-to-back that you were talking about, like that buddy gameplay, there's no way some of that doesn't translate over to Kingdom Hearts 4, changing the way that you work with your teammates and things like that for that game.
Yeah, giving it like just judging from that trailer, like maybe like a more realistic art style, at least for Sora, to give him like more like Final Fantasy-esque combat. Like that would be that'd be pretty spicy. All right, well, moving on from one Final Fantasy to another. Ever Crisis.
Yes.
Final Fantasy 7 Ever Crisis. From one Final Fantasy 7 to another.
I have been excited about this personally since it was announced, because basically what they've been toting is like everything Final Fantasy 7 story related is all going to be funneled in right here in a way for you to play through it all and engage with it all, get all the story beats. It's very interesting, the different, like, we're seeing the style here for classic Final Fantasy 7 and, like, recapturing that spirit, and then you'll see other parts that are, like, clearly Crisis Core, things like that.
Dirge of Cerberus.
And the way that it's just, like, changing throughout and doing all of it is really interesting. So this is for mobile devices. And you
but it looks good.
You can pre-register. It looks very good. For me, this is the way where, like, oh, okay, I'm going to dive in and actually get all the Final Fantasy VII story stuff that's not the remake and rebirth that's going on right now.
What is so incredible is I'm actually going to probably play this too, because like I don't like I'm not going to ever go back to the original Final Fantasy VII. No offense, 1997's Final Fantasy VII or whatever, 1995. But like this has like updated chibi graphics when you're in combat, because it's still turn based, and we all have iPhones that are like supercomputers at this point. The graphics look just as good as modern games because it's turn based. You're not actually, and then cutscenes can look just as good. So like, you're basically playing like a new ass game,
right?
It's a third Final Fantasy VII remake.
That's basically what they've said, is like it's a different like path for a reimagining, but more or less the core story elements of all the original pieces are staying there.
Including Crisis Core's in there.
Yeah, including Crisis Core. No, like the story's gonna go more or less the same way here, while being adapted in a different way visually to get you through the story. There are 10 chapters that cover the entirety of the Final Fantasy VII timeline, all the way from the earliest thing, which I forget the name of, all the way up to Advent Children.
Advent Children, the movie, is going to be included in this game.
It's the last chapter.
You're going to be playing... now I have to play this game.
Yeah, and I believe like the beginning of Final Fantasy VII they've said is chapter 3. So you have 2 chapters that are before. One of them's Crisis Core, and one of them's I believe what's happening here, right here in the forest.
Ooh, learn about the soldiers.
And then you continue on and on and on. There's also tie-in stuff for the other mobile game they made, The First Soldier.
Yes.
I think.
Which is not doing well.
No, but there is tie-in stuff for that as well. really, really interested in how this is all going to land and be executed, but it does seem like a really cool way. Like, if you want to get up to speed on some Final Fantasy VII, there's gotcha mechanics there. You can engage or dodge them as you see fit. I don't love that stuff exists, but, like, the more important thing is I think that we know from the start these 10 story chapters are there. You go through them and you're going to get, like, the timeline.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
I think what's most important is that, like, this is just something, like, yeah, there's predatory monetization stuff, but, like, this is just a game that you can buy and play. If you just want to play the Final Fantasy VII experience on iPhone...
It's actually free to play. Outside of the gotcha mechanics. It is a...
You can play the entirety of that entire game for free and not have to pay
they really
a
want you
penny.
to engage with the gotcha mechanics and everything.
All right.
That's the...
All right.
That's what they're saying now.
That makes me worried.
It's a free-to-download game.
Yeah.
That makes me think of, like, good job playing Chapter 1 for free. Now buy the next chapter for $2.99.
Or just like when you get a part of the main story and you have to engage the gotcha mechanics to.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. That's not true because something like Genshin Impact, which I did play for like dozens of hours and I didn't play and I put any money into, is a really great free to play mobile game. So like they can exist. If the game is good, then you will spend money on it. So like again, we play Fortnite, right? So like I don't mind spending money. So like as long as the gameplay is good. Like then that's fun. Then that's fine.
I do think that's what it is that they have a lot of faith that you're going to want like to get the cooler weapon upgrades or like
the
new outfits, and they're going to affect your stats and things like that to make getting through chapters easier.
That makes sense.
So like it's gonna work in that way, but it is overall a free to play mobile.
Now here's the thing that go ahead, Ben.
No, I was gonna say I do like how there's different costumes for everyone though.
Sure, a lot of people love that.
What
I'm
really scared about is, and this is a thing in like a lot of free mobile games, you will be able to play the full game for free, but the longer you play, the harder battles become.
Yeah,
and you will have to grind endlessly of older missions. Yes. Or spend money to actually beat that chapter. I am nervous. That's what I'm worried about.
I am nervous about that as well because this is something I really want to engage with and do.
Same.
So I will tell you when this drops. It's supposed to come out. They didn't say it here, but they're saying on the website that it's September 30th later this year. So hopefully it lands.
Yeah. I'm into it. We do have one final corner, but I don't have the trailer for it because we've seen a million of them. But Final Fantasy 16 did have a small thing like, "Hey, we're coming out in a couple got
a big demo out.
It comes. I was gonna say in a couple weeks. It comes out next week. Holy shit!
Oh my god.
There is a free demo out, and it is not just a demo. It is the entire it is the prologue of the game. It is the first 2 to 3 hours, depending on how much you do. And I played it, y'all. I really, truly thought Zelda was going to be a lock for Game of the Year. So if Final Fantasy can continue to impress me the way that it did, y'all, we got a good year for video games. That's all I'm going to say.
That's awesome.
That's all I'm going to say.
You're saying that the tweet that I made earlier this year might be true.
Dude, like, if it can continue that momentum for the 50 hours... It's special, dude. Ben, you need to play that prologue before we do the next quarterly.
I do.
You need to.
I need to play I do need to play that prologue because you guys know I do want to get Final Fantasy 16. That's one of the games I'm going to be saving.
Your save transfers over so you can play it.
I know.
You can play it.
I love it when games do that. That's what happened with Trials of Mana. I started Triangle Strategy, but I haven't gotten the full game. I haven't really gone back to that demo yet. But I love it when the save file transfers over. So it's like if you really like it and it's like, oh, I need this game, you can go and get it. Then boop, it's over. You're fine. You don't have to start all over again.
Yeah, especially because it's like 3 hours long. Like I didn't want to. It's a great 3 hours, but I didn't want to have to do that again.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. This is so special and very interesting because we're going to be talking about Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon. Now, this is the next game from FromSoft, the creators of the Dark Souls franchise.
And Elden Ring.
This
Game of the Year last year.
It's true, every word. The last Armored Core game came out in 2007, which was 16 years ago. And then after that, they made Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne, Sekiro, Elden Ring. All those games could be Game of the Year every year that came out, right? They're going back to the old school well of level-based mech customization, baby. And I am so thrilled. I would have loved Elden Ring 2, Elden Ring DLC, Bloodborne 2, whatever. But like them saying, hey, we've done the same thing for 15 years. Let's go back to something that we haven't touched in a while.
Yes.
I am so thrilled.
You did share the like very comprehensive discussion about playing Armored Core 6, and I think what I'm really happy to hear about it is that they didn't just try and bring everything they've done with Elden Ring or Bloodborne, Dark Souls, etc. to Armored Core. There is an amount of like thought in combat and in terms of like dealing with bosses and things like that, but like none of the mechanics are designed to feel like those games
It
necessarily.
is an Armored Core game first.
Yes.
It does take like lock on is something new, so like lock on like fast dash, like there's some like Dark Souls elements,
Right.
but it is an Armored Core game first.
And the movement looks awesome. I love the way that these mechs are moving through the space. That's honestly what's got me so excited. Is I'm like, I want to do this. I want to move through this space in this mech that I've got.
The combat. Y'all, the combat looks great as hell, but like I get so horny for customization in games, and y'all, this looks like the greatest mech customization game of all time. The amount of mechs that you can, the type of chassis that you can have, and then the amount of stuff you can do to those chassis, different weapons, different armor sets, different like boosters, different color schemes. It's a dream. It's the dream. And the thing that I love about Armored Core is it is just as hard as a Dark Souls game, right? And you can always customize your mech almost at any time. So like if you die to a boss because you don't have the right loadout, instead of having to restart the entire level from the beginning, it'll go, yo bro, you want to change your mech out? Try this again. And it'll let you do that because like, oh, you didn't have the right setup. We'll help you get that setup. And it's like, oh, it's like so seamless, and it's so player friendly while still giving you a hardcore challenge, because just because you change to a better robot doesn't mean you're automatically going to win. You still got to be a badass gamer, a professional gamer like Ryan Oliopoulos. I'm just so excited.
A little inside baseball. The next main Basement Arcade pause menu that I have coming up is with friend of the show, Mint Blay, and she's a huge Armored Core fan.
Yeah,
she's so excited. I mean, Armored Core 6 for a good like 20 minutes or so when she was on the show, and just seeing this gameplay, I'm thinking like this is probably the best Gundam game that's not a Gundam game. And the fact that just like seeing the customizable options, that you can customize the paint, you can customize every bit of your mech. I'm not the biggest fan of customizing stuff, but seeing this is like, oh, it's just like any other RPG where it's like you customize your playstyles. Like, do you like bullets? Do you like raining down bullets from on high? Do you like up close and personal swordplay combat? Do you like a mixture of both? Do you like speed? Do you like being a giant bulky tank?
Yeah.
Just like with any like with Dark Souls or Elden Ring, where you can build your character to your own personal liking, you can build your own mech to your own personal liking, and it won't penalize you for changing up different styles. And just seeing this gameplay right here, I'm like, I need this in my veins. Armored Core is one of those games I've heard about that I've wanted to try, but it just was like, it went to the back recesses of my mind, and I never really thought about it again. And now seeing this, I'm like, give it to me.
It's time.
The thing about the Armored Core franchise is like, no, I've not played all of them, and a lot of them are older from like, late 90s, early 2000s. So like, all the reviews are saying like none of these games were incredible. This is pre who FromSoft was now.
Yes.
Demon Souls really is the game that like changed their trajectory in 2009 to like, oh, like this is what we can do. Let's focus on implementing that and upgrading that over time, and then let's go back to Armored Core to see how we can do something new with that as well. And by all accounts, like look at this boss battle. Like this is a Dark Souls boss battle, but in the style of Armored Core. I'm just so thrilled, and like you can have like tank treads, you can have no feet, you could be boosting, flying, like whatever you want, as long as like you can beat that boss, like they'll let you do it.
Right.
It just looks so cool.
Very excited.
It does.
So cool.
I'm ready. I want it.
Well, we're gonna leave the core, and we're going back to school, y'all. Let's go to Demon School.
Going back to school.
We saw this trailer, God, I feel like a year or two ago. The first trailer for Demon School. But I'm super into it. This is another like Persona-esque Persona style game. High school simulator, hang out with friends, talk to people, go to class. But also you fight demons in your off time. So it's a turn-based. Let's get some of that turn-based going stuff over here.
This is a very interesting trailer.
Yeah, it's a spooky tactical RPG, but I love the combat. Where motion equals action really enticed me, because the only other strategy RPG that I've played recently who did that was Marvel Midnight Suns, where if you run into somebody, you will push them in the direction that you're moving towards, right? So it's like, it's not just moving towards someone, like you can also action with that. And I think it's got a great art style. It looks really charming.
Yes, I agree. I find it very charming.
I love the art style. And again, like I love Persona games. This one's probably not going to be 150 hours, so like it's more a little bit of a better investment for me for someone who wants to play this type of game.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it.
2023.
I would pretty much echo everything Ryan said. Also, I just love the pixel art. Every time I see pixel art in modern games, it makes me happy.
Yeah, I think it just looks like a good old times. moving on to a game that I wish I put it on here because I want to talk about, but I wish I liked it more. It's called Avowed. This is from Obsidian, and Obsidian made Knights of the Old Republic 2 and Fallout New Vegas and a bunch of other sequels to games. They never really made their own IP. Their own original IP, right? And then they made The Outer Worlds, which is a Fallout-esque space game about future retroism or retrofuturism, whatever one you want to call it. But that was a fun, tight 20-hour space RPG. That's like, hey, we're going to make our own, type of Fallout. This is them doing that exact same thing, but for Skyrim. They're going to make it's not a 100-hour open-world RPG. It is a tight 20-hour, 30-hour RPG. When it was first announced, I was really into it. I think this trailer just looks okay. I think the graphics look pretty good, but nothing extraordinary in the year of our Lord 2023. But I really, really like Obsidian as a developer, so I want to give them the benefit of a doubt. I really like The Outer Worlds, but I just love a good fantasy open world, and I've seen worse. I'm just wondering what you guys think.
That's a fair point. I think it's a challenge to stand out. I really like this idea of whatever this infection thing is going on in the story. I think that's really cool. It's tough this year for fantasy to stand out because I feel like there's a lot of sword and sorcery on the video game docket, which is not a bad thing. There's a lot of great looking ones, but there's also a lot that I was like, ooh, hard to stand apart. And Avowed is riding that middle line pretty tough.
Yeah.
I would definitely say Avowed is oh, look, another open world fantasy RPG.
Yep.
As I look over at the corner of the massive list of other fantasy RPGs that I would rather play over this one. I mean, this one looks fine, really.
Yeah.
I don't have anything. I mean, if that was the one negative thing I have to say about it, it was that it just looks like another generic RPG, and that's bad. I'm hoping this game is good. I hope all games are good. But I'm sorry, Final Fantasy 16 sitting over there.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's coming out in a few weeks or in a few days, really, and that stands out. This one's just I've seen this before.
It's very much gonna come down to what are people saying about the game? How is the gameplay? Is the proof in the pudding?
Yeah.
Hopefully,
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, hopefully, when this game comes out, it's hey, this game is actually really freaking good. I'm all right, cool. I was proven wrong. Excellent. I don't mind being proven wrong, but this just looks like, oh, I've seen this 1.5 billion times.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah,
if it's anything like The Outer Worlds, it'll have a really, really great story because Obsidian excels in storytelling, and the combat itself will be it'll be good enough to want you to continue the story.
Sure.
Because again, I play a lot of Magic type games, and I'm not seeing anything super original here, but maybe it'll be good enough where because again, I'll take a decent gameplay for great story.
Right.
Any
Absolutely.
Yeah. Moving on to something I know we're all huge fans of, y'all. What's up? It's the Microsoft Flight Simulator, boys. We're all here to talk about flight simulators. Just kidding. I only picked this because Dune's in it. The same way that I played Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I only played that game because it had a Top Gun Maverick expansion for free on Xbox Game Pass, because this is an Xbox joint, so this will also be on Xbox Game Pass. Microsoft Flight Simulator rules. In terms of being a game, it's incredible. It looks great. It uses Google Maps, actual data to have actual geography, so it looks like real world shit that you're flying over. It's incredible. So if you're into flight simulator, it's great. I'm into it for the experimental nonsense, like flying the ornithopters from Dune.
Yeah.
And it's not just hey, you're gonna fly this thing down San Francisco, because we didn't do anything. No, they built a full ass Arrakis with a what are those things called? The extractor, the spice extractor.
Right.
Yeah. I know there's not a lot to talk about. I just think it looks fun. I'm gonna fly this plane for probably about 2 to 3 hours, and they were thinking.
Yeah, that sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's Flight Simulator. What more do you want?
Get the Hans Zimmer Dune soundtrack going, just poured on over.
yeah.
It's in this trailer. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that it's just in gameplay, so I don't have to Spotify.
Sure.
Yeah. Moving on from Flight Simulator. This was announced last week, but Sparkz, you weren't here to talk about it because we talked about it briefly on the podcast. But it's been the same week technically. So we're gonna talk about briefly Spider-Man 2. This got announced. I think we're all excited for Spider-Man 2. I don't know how much more we could say.
No,
but
we did get to talk about Spider-Man 2. That was the week before.
Was it the week before? Well, guess what?
We talked about it on the main podcast.
Well, guess what? Spider-Man 2
we do
is
have the
coming
release
out.
date announced, so October 20th.
That's true.
Very exciting.
That is true. I'm just really excited. Hey, sometimes people don't listen to podcasts and they're only here for Basement Arcade.
That's absolutely true.
So-
I'm very excited about Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I'm guessing you've already seen Spider-Man 2 footage if you're watching this, because it is a little older, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to include it because it's technically part of Summer Game Fest, so bing bong. Looks great. Spider-Man's coming out, guys.
We'll definitely be
Yeah,
playing that.
I am. Yeah. I'm
Someone
excited.
has to play Miles
This-
Morales.
I
Ben's
do.
docket
It's on
getting
my hard-
longer and longer.
It's on my hard drive.
You're
It's there.
lucky that's not like a 40-hour game.
Yeah.
It's there.
All right,
this
y'all.
One.
We're moving on.
This one
to Christmas
I'm
time.
actually very excited about.
Me too.
The whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, this is just a Christmas Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
I have played a Symphony of the Night, not a lot of it, some of it. I need to get back to it. This looks great. I love the art style. I love how you're playing as Ebenezer Scrooge, and how you are taking the spirits of Christmas and essentially using them to your advantage to defeat enemies. I don't know what the plot is, but just the fact that this.
I'll
Ben,
I'll tell you the plot right now. It's a 2D Metroidvania platformer adventure where players will embody the miser-turned-hero Ebenezer Scrooge. The game is a reimagined Victorian fantasy based on A Christmas Carol, where you can enlist the help of ghosts to save the people of London.
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm in.
We so rarely get Christmas video games, especially a good looking one. This is really cool. Just to have a holiday game, this use of Christmas Carol as a foundation, I think, is really interesting. And these art style is really great. I just love it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thrilled about it. I've already talked to Brandon about it because he's such a Christmas Carol nut. Because it seems it's only for PC, we're not sure if he'll be able to play it himself, but we definitely are talking about like getting him onto some Basement Arcades so he can talk his way through while someone else does.
Yeah. So this is going to be a Steam only?
That's what it seems like right now, but you know how these things work. It could come to Switch
Y'all, that's
later.
not true. It's coming to PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, Nintendo
nice.
Switch, and PC.
It's everything. Excellent.
And it's on everything.
That's even.
It was just announced at the PC Gamer Show.
Got it.
Okay. I mean, I had a feeling with this game, this has to be like a every platform type of game. Because I mean, not to say that the graphics are simple, but just the art style. It's like, okay, you don't need a whole lot of power, but obviously,
there you go. Everyone
everything, great, even better.
All right.
I need this game. I want this game.
We know
this
what's
game looks amazing.
We know what's happening. This is
whoop.
awesome.
All right, y'all. We're moving on to some beautiful narrative sadness in Senua's Saga: Hellblade 2. I've played about a third of that first game, and now that this game is actually coming closer to coming to release, I will finish it. It is a how to describe it? It is a narrative focused but combat light story game about mental health and mental illness in a fantasy world. And it is one of the most there's no other game like it, really. The opening credits, when you start the game, it tells you that this game had therapists involved and mental health professionals involved, and it is about Senua and how she has voices in her head and people telling her what to do, and it is all about going through real tragedy in a dark fantasy berserk-esque world. It's really, really fascinating, and that first game did really well despite it being really unique. The thing about it, that first game was technically incredible, and this one is even more impressive. We saw that first trailer a while ago, but looking at this shit now, I'm like, this is the real deal, man. This is the power of Unreal, baby. This looks so good.
Very interested in what this game's going to turn into.
Yeah, it's mostly the gameplay demo we saw today is just it's Senua just talking Gollum-esque, looking in a reflection and hearing her thoughts. And I'm just it's really great that we can have these huge budget games that have a focus just on what's this lady dealing with.
Yeah.
Obviously, there will be combat, but it is not to focus on it whatsoever. Just looks like a really cool, unique game. I love that Xbox is putting their weight behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess. Y'all tell me how you feel about this really unique-looking yokai Capcom game.
I am not sure. Sorry, Ben, just real fast. I'm not sure how I feel about the gameplay.
Yeah.
Just based off the trailer, but I really like the designs. All the creature designs and everything like that. This gives me a lot of kind of like Demon Slayer, right?
Yeah,
but in its own way,
I think
its
that's the
own
vibe.
interpretation of what it's doing, with this folklore and interpretation of demonic spirits. I really like all these designs, these creatures, the hands, all this kind of stuff. I think it looks really, really cool. I'm just not 100% sold on the gameplay appearances just from the trailer.
Yeah, I think it looks incredible, man. I love this. Like, there's so much shit going on.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure, like, what is gameplay, what's not gameplay. Like, is it multiplayer? Because I see cool stuff happening.
Yes.
I need, like, an actual gameplay demo. But I am, like, 250% sold on the world and aesthetics.
Yes.
Because, like, until I see the UI, like, I'm like, what? Okay, like, I know, okay, like, yeah, like, how... This looks cool, but how cinematic is it compared to actual me doing all this stuff?
Yeah, it's hard to place.
I was going to say this whole trailer gave me Okami vibes.
Okami, that's such a good... Oh, that's a good pull band, yeah. That's a Wolf Zelda.
Yeah, it gave me Okami vibes because of how the art style is out there, and that's not a bad thing. I do kind of agree with Ryan, because I don't know what's gameplay, what's not gameplay, but I do love the aesthetic of, like, when when one of your protagonists is swinging a sword, a trail of kaleidoscope patterns follows it.
Yeah,
like that part. I don't know what the kaleidoscope means, but a feast for the eyes for sure.
Oh yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I wasn't 100% sold. I mean, the looks, the art style and the look of this game, oh yeah, it's sold. But at the same time, it's like, but what do you do in the game?
Yeah, I think just
like, what's the draw?
More clarity on the gameplay will determine if this is something that I want to invest time into.
Yeah, I think it looks really cool. I hope it
looks really neat.
Hope it pans out.
All right, and at worst, like, this is in Xbox. This will be a on Game Pass, something to give a try.
It's true. Oh, y'all, man, Game Pass, best deal in games every day. I'll tell you. Moving on. So this was announced.
Dogma.
This was announced earlier, but we got a full gameplay demo finally for Dragon's Dogma 2. And I explained it if you watched the Fake Nerd podcast when we briefly talked about it. But Dragon's Dogma 2 is a sequel to another cult classic game like Warhammer that's getting a sequel over 10 years later. Dragon's Dogma is the greatest 7 out of 10 video game ever made, because it is a game that was super janky, that did not have enough development time, that like came out like they like got its development time got cut off, and it was reaching for the moon but only delivered on the grass. It is a really cool open world dark fantasy game where you can Shadow of the Colossus style climb on monsters and kill them. There's a cool co-op system through single player where you are taking these visitors from another world called pawns, and they are your Dungeons and Dragons party. So you have up to 4 people in your party. It's just a really great fun adventure game, and it looks to be like a sequel to that game. Like, they're not shying away from anything from what made that game awesome. You still climb shit. You're still fighting evil dragons who are stealing your heart. It looks like a great version of that first game. And like. I was so worried that they would like dumb it down, but like, no, it is still physics based. Like, you see in this trailer, like, you jump on a dude, that monster will fall over because like it's too heavy. I think it just looks really cool, and I always love seeing a Catman in a video game.
Now, earlier we were talking about fantasy games that felt generic, that felt it's hard to stand out. Sparkz, you mentioned about how we're getting a lot of Sword Sorcery games. Yep. This one is standing out.
Yep.
Yes.
Mostly because of how epic these battles are. And now, obviously, this is Capcom. It's different. I mean, yes, Capcom's...
Oh, I love this.
But as I watch this, I'm like, this is like... I don't want to say Monster Hunter Light.
Yeah.
Because obviously Monster Hunter is a completely different franchise. But the combat that we've seen is like, hey, we're taking scenes from Monster Hunter. We're taking these grand fights. We're fantasizing them up, or dark fantasizing them up a little bit, but these are essentially Monster Hunter fights. And if you like Monster Hunter, but more story driven, but a more story driven game, instead of just constant hunt and fighting monsters, here's Dragon's Dogma 2. And this is definitely one of those games. Is like, okay, it's like, hey, I see you, Dragon's Dogma. Yeah, I might pick this one. That's rad.
That's a great comp, I think, Ben, using Monster Hunter for a comparison with what we're seeing here in the gameplay. That's really, like, obviously it's not a 1-to-1, but I think you're picking at something that it's putting down pretty well.
Yeah. That is a good comparison, yeah. Man, if you had to like put a gun to my head, like, would I rather play like Monster Hunter or Dragon's Dogma? Like, I would say Monster Hunter, but now that this game's coming out, I'm like, oh man. Now I could just play like the better version of Dragon's Dogma, because that's just what everybody wanted.
Because that does look like there's a fair bit of that translating over in this game. Not bad, Ben. Not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is, and they are saying, because I did watch a little bit of this bit, and they're saying that it's built with the Resident Evil engine. So I'm like, oh yeah, this game looks creative.
Man, that RE engine is getting so much work. So many games using that RE engine. I love it.
It is. It totally is. Use it for a Mega Man game.
All right, moving on to Jusant. Y'all, let's climb. Let's climb.
Climb in the video game.
Let's climb to the heavens with Jusant. This looks really charming. The developer said this has like meditative vibes, so like, you know, like conflict kind of free. Like you can fall, but you're like that's not the kind of the point. It's like they want you to keep going up. I think it's got a great art style. You got a cute little companion. It just looks like a cool, unique, like just keep going up adventure. Just keep going up. Keep going up.
Right. I agree. This is very much like the kind of indie game that really appeals to me, where it's just like, here's the thing. All right, enjoy this art style. Go do the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really like it. Meditative sounds really, really nice. I love the cheekiness that they have at the end of the trailer where they say climb, fall, 2023.
That's really, really clever, yeah.
That was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, watching this trailer, it kind of made my arms hurt.
Oh, sure.
Made my arms sore, and I just did arm day yesterday.
Yeah,
so, I mean, this game looks good, but I don't think it's really for me.
That's
I
fine.
don't know why.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like the art style. I don't know. It does look good, but at the same time, it's just like, oh, you just climb.
Yeah,
that's
and take in beautiful nature.
I love the idea of this. This is something I'm pretty curious to see how it comes out.
Yeah. I mean, I am glad to see there's no stamina wheel above my head, so I have to freak out every time.
I was also thinking
climbing a
Zelda.
mountain.
Yeah, I was also thinking Zelda. Yeah. There's this game franchise called Just Grow Home, and it's about a little robot, and it's about you planting seeds, and you also the whole point of the game is to go up until you reach your spaceship. And this feels like a much higher budgeted version of that game, and I'm really excited for it. Big fan of climbing simulators. All right, y'all. Let's move on to a extremely way too serious trailer for a game that is not this serious at all. Warhaven. This is a despite I think it has a kind of generic looking art style. The 16 versus 16 multiplayer fantasy aspect of it is really enticing to me.
Yes.
I think it looks really fun, really arcadey. And what I love about games like this and like games like For Honor or something even like a Fortnite is the base game I'm super into. I'm really curious where this game will be in a year, where we have so many more characters, customization options, fun are they gonna put like Street Fighter characters so he plays in this game, like that kind of shit, like nonsense. I just think it looks really chaotic.
I love the idea of doing medieval fantasy-esque Battlefront with you guys.
100%. And like 16v16 is cool, and like there's like hero characters that like you can get over time, so like you basically become like a medieval Overwatch character with super abilities.
Yeah.
I think it just looks like, again, like I don't love the art style, but I feel like that's something they can like improve over time with new outfits. I just think the idea is really fun. It looks really cool.
I like the look of some of the hero characters.
Yeah, I love the battle maiden.
Yeah. With getting like the halo of light around her and things like that. Like I can definitely see like if this plays well, like we could have a ton of fun doing like again medieval fantasy Battlefront.
Being on a horse and just whipping.
Yeah.
That looks I think Warhaven just could be just a good time.
It looks cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have much to say about Warhaven. It was just another one of those like, oh, cool, another fantasy free-to-play game. Or not another fantasy, but I'm like, okay.
But if you like playing Battlefront and the gameplay is good, then you would probably enjoy like, oh, I'm going to hop in a match with whoever, and here we go.
See, like I played a bunch of For Honor, but For Honor is very much more 1v1. Like
meticulous.
And it's a lot, meticulous, a lot more like technical.
Yeah.
This looks like I can just like press X and hammer a bunch of dudes.
Right,
that looks like a good time.
Kind of Dynasty Warriors-esque.
Yeah,
inside
sure.
Battlefront.
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah. This one specifically for Ben, Still Wakes the Deep. Ben, this is from the Chinese room. They made Amnesia, a machine for pigs. The game that you definitely played with some oinky oinky boys.
Oh no!
It just seems like a nice time out on an oil rig, Ben, until the end.
Nothing bad ever happens on an oil rig.
I don't
in the
know
middle
what
of the
those
ocean.
sounds are, but we're gonna find out.
What are we waking up? We'll find out.
I don't like this.
Yeah.
Like the whole fact that you're on an oil rig, hundreds or thousands of miles away from shore, alone.
Genius setting.
Looks good too.
Genius.
Looks very scary.
Genius setting.
Where are you gonna go?
I mean, okay, yeah, there's a helicopter, but can you fly the helicopter? Well, if you can't, you're screwed.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the title of how still wakes the deep. Like for me, that's like kind of ooh, like because the ocean is still, the creatures in the deep wake up or something. I don't know.
Or the
like-
deep is still waking.
Yeah, but other than that, this game looks absolutely terrifying. I'm gonna hate it.
Oh, yeah.
I just know I'm gonna hate it.
Oh yeah.
When you guys force me to play this, I'm like, oh, I hate you all.
All lines of communication have been severed. All exits are gone. All that remains to face the unknowable horror that comes aboard. Search for your crew and help them survive if you can.
If you can.
If you can.
No.
All right, we're gonna go.
I'm good.
We're gonna move from some sad dungeons to some happy dungeons. With dungeons
Once again.
Dungeons of Hindenburg.
Another fantasy game that stands out.
Yes.
Because of the art style, because of the setting, how it's pseudo fantasy, pseudo modern. I love the design of the sword in this game. This looks great.
So
I know this is an Xbox exclusive, but man, this looks. Or is it an Xbox exclusive, or is it?
Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Ben, this game really appeals to me because it looks like it's almost like it's 3 different types of games. in
Yeah,
one.
it's almost like a plucky hero situation where they're doing a bunch of different things at once.
Yeah, because like
Like
you've got
Squire situation.
you've got like some side scrolling travel stuff. You've got your like behind the back. All of that stuff reminds me of, you might remember the name, but like there's a another game that was on Game Pass that had a very similar art style, traveling around the desert on the bike.
Not Solar Ash.
Yeah, but you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
the
about.
Pathways, yeah.
It's very appealing to me, this kind of art aesthetic. So I'm really interested in this.
Yeah, I think the art style is really fun, and yeah, like you mentioned, Sparkz, like multiple different types of games happening at once. Looks like a cheery good time.
This looks like the type of it's like when you want to go on an adventure, but you want to go on an adventure that's not super high stakes. It's you don't want to. It's not like the Legend of Zelda or maybe even Dragon's Dogma where there's like a bunch of stakes, like we have to take this down the monster, or you have to find Zelda, save the kingdom. So it's like, I just want to dive into a dungeon and see if there's any shiny bits in there.
It seems like
cool. Here we go.
It seems like exploration is the predominant important thing, and I really like that.
Yeah, the description is action adventure RPG that includes monster fighting, puzzle solving, magic wielding, and relationship building, all set around the cozy Alpine village of Hindenburg.
Yeah, it's really pulling from like multiple types of video game genres, and I really like that.
I'm into it. Give me all the slashes in your genres. I love it. Ooh, excuse me. This one is just for me for right now. This is Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty.
This looks cool though. And we got Idris Elba.
Idris Elba he's playing secret agent, military man.
And this
guy.
is the first time he's coming to
Yes.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah. So, this I forgot. Like I didn't forget because I think about it all the time. But I forgot how good this game looks. This is running on like the most expensive PC of all time. So like it doesn't look quite this good on PS5, but it looks pretty good. I'm just so excited that we're getting more Cyberpunk. I love CD Projekt Red because every time they put out a expansion, it's not here's a $5 expansion with like an extra level. It is a $30 expansion with 45 hours of content. It is an entire other game. That's what they did with The Witcher multiple times. That's why that game's infinitely playable. Phantom Liberty is not going to just introduce a new island for you to explore in the map. It is also like rewiring the entire code of Cyberpunk 2077, and that is the thing that most interested me. That they were kind of like hiding. They didn't really tell us that this was happening until they were here at Summer Game Fest. Like a lot of the relationship stuff, the cop dynamics, the perk system, the skill system, it's all getting refreshed for free. So if you don't buy this expansion, you are still getting a huge, massive update to Cyberpunk 2077 that fixes a lot of the game's, not even issues, it just makes them better. And things I didn't even have problems with that they made better, which is great. Just Idris Elba as your main like new bad guy who you can also maybe work with. This looks like a lot of fun. Like any excuse to visit Night City again. Man, look how good he looks. I can't wait to maybe beat him up. Oi. See, all right, y'all. It's time to return once again to Pandora.
Ooh.
Now, I know y'all haven't played Far Cry games, but you have played video games that are open world and you go to towers to unlock parts of your map. Because that is an Ubisoft staple from Far Cry that is now permeated every single video game ever made, including Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which is not a bad thing. I like that system. But this is a Far Cry game that is just Avatar. It is a first-person, open, outpost clearing, tower grappling, first-person shooter. And I'm curious if you guys have any interest in this.
I played the first Avatar game, and it was okay. But here's the thing. James Cameron threw everything he ever thought of about the planet into that game. And so, like, all the fauna, all the species, all this stuff was thought about, and it looks like that's just been ramped up with this one. So, to me, the gameplay might be... I don't know. But the idea of, like, engaging with the full force, not the full force, but a lot more than what you get in the movies of what Cameron envisions Pandora to be, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, seeing a lot of species we haven't seen before, areas we haven't seen before, knowing that, like, this is not just something, like, made... Cameron's had his hands and his mind on all of this.
He gave a presentation before the trailer for this, like, at the show. So, like, he's directly involved. Yeah.
Right. Like, he knows how he wants this world to look. He's overseen and approved all of this. So I think it's really interesting to engage with it that way. Time will tell if the gameplay feels good.
People didn't know before you talk. People didn't know this was first person, and it threw a lot of people off because like this is the game, and I'm like, oh, that looks awesome. I'm totally into it. Yeah. I love the Far Cry games until they just got really repetitive and weren't doing anything new. But like the core gameplay is really good. The coolest thing about this game is when you level up, you have to go to your home tree and connect your ponytail to the tree to level up. I think that's incredible. That's great. You get to have your own Ikron. You can customize it. Y'all, when I saw that you can customize your dragon, I lost my mind. I'm like, all right, no, this game's for me now. Again, any game that lets you do things in them to your character or beasts or vehicles, I'm all about.
Right.
Yeah. It's cool, but it's not for me.
Yeah.
I'm not that big of an Avatar guy. I mean, I like the movies just fine, but I'm not enough to like constantly dive into the world and stay there.
Sure.
I will say, like, I love how obviously Cameron's a part of this, and he gave us approval because this does look amazing. This, like, yeah, this is straight out of the film. This looks exactly like the world of Pandora should look like. But I've never really played Far Cry games, and other than that, I'm just like, I mean, Avatar's a cool franchise, but it's just not for me.
That's fair. Yeah, I won't even say I'm the biggest Avatar head, but like I do want to. I wouldn't mind revisiting that world because, like, again, like it looks beautiful. Like I would much rather play this than Far Cry 7 because, like, Far Cry 7 won't have floating mountains and dragons that you can ride and customize and stuff. So, like,
I will probably give it a try just to try and explore the world of Pandora.
Yeah. Moving on from that game. I lost it on the list. Don't worry, y'all. We're back in 3, 2, 1. Well, almost like Clockwork, am I right, guys? Let's talk about Clockwork Revolution. Damn, I'm good at this now. Clockwork Revolution is the newest Bioshock-esque game from Inksville? Is that what they're called? Inksville?
In Exile.
In Exile, thank you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I love a Bioshock. I love a dystopian world, whether it's underwater or in the sky. This one is about automatons and clocks and time travel. I just think it looks really cool. I always love big open world games that are that let you do stealth or action pack. Customize and like upgrade your skills, stuff like that. Like it just looks
you see a rich guy on like a walking red carpet.
Yeah.
Because he can't sully his feet to touch the ground. I am actually very much into this game because I love the steampunk aesthetic. It works very well, but also the fact that how you're also trying to build a revolution and go back in time and stop Lady Ironwood and everything about this just looks very inventive and very cool.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of inventive steampunk in video games, so this is definitely on my radar.
The interesting thing about this trailer is like it's showing like the past and the future and how like, oh, something you do here might affect the past or the future, and like, oh, this beautiful place is now torn down and you can like rebuild it and stuff. And I'm like, man, how much of that is like cutscene based or story, like this part specifically, like story based? Like, am I going to be doing a lot of this in the game, or is that specific to just that one section of the game, so it's not as impressive as it might be? That's what I'm really curious about. Because like if you are able to like, hey, there is a huge story, and throughout the game you can change the future and the past throughout the story. That's really impressive, and not a lot of games can do that. And again, like, it just looks so much like Bioshock, and like there have been a bunch of like knockoff Bioshock games because like those games don't come out anymore. So like I'm hoping hoping this can be one of the good ones. It looks really cool. There was Atomic Heart. We were all super excited for Atomic Heart. Remember that game?
Yes.
Remember how a game came out and nobody talks about it because that game was actually awful? Bummer. I hope that's not the case for this one, coming in due time.
Big time, same.
Alrighty, we're going to move on.
Go ahead and put this one on loop.
Little Nemo time.
Oh yeah, because this was pretty short.
Yeah,
I know we've talked about this before.
Yes.
I love this art style.
So what it was is last year, this was at the very tail end of Day of the Devs for Summer Game Fest. And it was because it was being Kickstartered at the time. And so they wanted to get a lot of eyes on it. It did successfully get funded. I was one of the people who backed that project immediately. But now I just wanted to revisit it because you guys have watched Slumberland.
Yep.
You've read a comic. You have a little more knowledge of where this is coming from. Its own interpretation
Flip's a
of it.
girl.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I wanted to kind of touch base with you guys now that you're more familiar, how you're feeling about now engaging with this, knowing more about Little Nemo and Slumberland.
I'm into it. I was already into it just because of the art style and like the side scrolling nature of it. But like now I have a little bit more context. I'm like, I would love to hang out with Flip and go on silly adventures. Yeah.
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 I love the interpretation, the art style, all of that for this game.
There's a demo out now. Guess who's playing that later?
Yeah, I need to do that as well. The updates over the past year have been really excellent. I think this game is gonna really just knock us all our socks off.
Ben, does not remind you of Mario 2, the way you pick up turnips and shit?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
I did want to take this moment to just highlight because we did talk about this one. There were others that I decided we didn't need to talk about again because we talked about them at length when their trailers came out last year. These are just a couple of indie games. There's Cocoon, which is from the studio that made Inside and Limbo. Reika and Highwater all have new trailers this year that look great.
I remember
I highly
Highwater,
recommend if
yeah.
you're interested in those properties to go check those out. I just wanted to say that there was a lot more shown in those games still look really, really good. And just if you're a fan of the indies, there's just lots of cool stuff.
Okay, so as I said at the top, the video does cut out, and unfortunately this is where it cut out at, and so what we're going to be doing is doing a part 2 of this Summer Games Fest discussion, and so we'll see you then for that, and until then, unpause.